What if Valve threw a party and nobody came? What if they made a new game, hyped it up, and a lot of people decided that it sucked? And what if it became a dark stain on the company's legacy? One referred to with both derision
What the fuck is that?
and sadness.
My point of view, everyone thought it was shit.
It's almost like a little bit misunderstood.
I felt like the game was just too easy.
And no, we're not talking about Artifact. We're talking about Counter-Strike's bastard son.
Check this out.
Okay, so to be fair, there are actually a lot of weird fucking CS games, but we don't ever talk about those. The original Counter-Strike started as a Half-Life mod that was later acquired by Valve. The game, more commonly known as CS 1.6, was released in 2000, and it wasn't long before it became wildly popular among FPS fans.
I tried to sneak through the door, man. Can't make it. Can't make it. The shit's stuck. Door stuck! Door stuck! You're a genuine dick sucker!
Now, you have to remember, this was back when Valve actually developed games. At the time, Valve created the then cutting-edge Source engine for its next generation of titles. One of which is basically the fucking Mona Lisa of PC gaming, Half-Life 2. But when Counter-Strike Source was released using this same engine, it failed to capture much of the competitive community that was so invested in 1.6.
It feels like maybe that's what happened to a bunch of 1.6 players is they tried it in like the first month or something and they said, oh, this is nothing like what I'm used to. I'm gonna go back and play 1.6. And a lot of us did that. And then we never just spent the rest of the time making fun of the people playing Source basically.
Now there was plenty about the new game that just felt different. Probably the first thing that people noticed was the movement.
For me, just the fact that you could run around and shoot people on Source more than you can on CS, it feels you have to be a lot more precise and you have to be perfect, counter-strafing, making sure you're on point. Watching RPK, Fragmary is back, he's just running around on A-bomb site on Inferno shooting people, and you can't do that anymore, obviously.
I don't think you could run and shoot in Source.
Although accuracy was still very bad while moving in Source, the reduction of tagging, the slowdown that happens when you catch a bullet, meant that more people were willing to take their chances strafing. Now, grenade damage still caused players to feel like they were wading through molasses, but the reduction of gunfire tagging was a huge departure from 1.6. On top of this, Source also featured another big change: new lag compensation. Anytime there's latency, you're gonna see at least some peeker's advantage. But in Source, it meant that aggressively peeking became incredibly powerful. So because movement was harder to punish and peeking was even more powerful, weapons that were capable of killing with one shot, like the Deagle and the AWP, became grossly overpowered. And the game environment itself only made those weapons more effective.
14 in favor of Nexus still. Kennyaz takes down Horks and Smiz, so that's the two operas down for Nexus.
Now, there are a lot of other jank-ass mechanics we could talk about when it comes to Source, like speed demon bunny hopping, its generous hitboxes, or how its physics engine sometimes made things broken as hell. Now I could go on and on about all of the busted shit in Source. I mean, we could just get lost talking about all of it.
But you can also get lost in the sauce.
Anyway, the point is that the competitive community mostly rejected Source after trying it out.
Artifact is garbage.
Sorry, wrong clip.
I played 1.6 my entire life, and when I started playing Source, I felt like the game was just too easy.
My point of view, everyone thought Source was shit.
And while Source competition did happen, many of the 1.6 veterans stuck with the older game, which meant that there were limited eyeballs on Source.
It was tough to be a Counter-Strike Source player because there was no money in it.
Counter-Strike's competitive community was split, with 1.6 purists claiming that Source was the easier game, made for more casual players.
Well, I think that's just a bit of, back then there was a lot of rivalry, I feel like, between 1.6 and Source.
And it was always just like Source players, yeah, my game's better, 1.6 is better. Like, it was just more so egos and pride coming into it.
And while many aspects of Source were tweaked from the release build to improve its overall experience, tensions within the CS community reached a fever pitch in late 2005 when one of the year's biggest tournaments, World Cyber Games, decided to use Source and not 1.6 for its Counter-Strike tournament. Suddenly, teams that initially chose to play Source were running up against the best that 1.6 had to offer. And it didn't go so well. 1.6 crew Team 3D ran the table against Source teams at WCG 2005, and then defeated the reigning Source champs Powers Gaming at Everland Winter 2006, damning Source players to years of further torment.
I have no words to describe the disappointment I have for every one of you right now.
Now, despite being largely ridiculed by the competitive scene, Source attracted plenty of casual players and modders. In fact, many popular mods like Gun Game, Jailbreak, and Zombie were either first developed or perfected on CS Source. But after 8 years of intense rivalry between the two scenes, everything changed in 2012, when Valve released Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
I think we needed something to get everything together, and that was CSGO.
They tried to bring the good things from both of the games and put it into CSGO.
At DreamHack Valencia that year, the best teams from both 1.6 and Source would face off to determine who was going to be the king in Global Offensive.
3 last man standing will be Nathan. He will be taken down, and that will be the first round. Really quick.
Although Ninjas in Pajamas had players from both games, the all-Source Very Games squad only managed to take second place.
You're the #1 loser.
And sure, back then, Forest and Get Right's dominance might have been the proof 1.6 purists could point at to demonstrate their superiority over Source players. But as it turns out, both games have produced some of CSGO's biggest stars.
You look at the players that have come out of that game and into Global Offensive, and you say, well, it's not that they were just, baseline worst players or anything. Like, some of them have gone on to be, some of the best players in the world, basically.
I don't necessarily think that it makes me a worse player to have played Source.
20 HP. The device is now the last man standing. That's a massive frag. 8 seconds. The no-scope almost. The fake plant. Alexi gets taken out by the device. Monstrous start, and they are ready for this game.
There is a running joke in the team that most of the players on our team is Source players, and the 1.6 players quit because they weren't good enough for CSGO. So.
With developers spending more time than ever parsing player feedback, it's hard to imagine a future divide in the Counter-Strike community as deep as the one that Source caused.
I can't wait to start. Why don't you run back home before this place turns you into a sniveling mess?
Oh yeah? Or maybe you want me to leave so bad because you're scared you won't be able to keep up with me.
In your dreams!
Well, I guess we'll see.
Now boys, that's enough squabbling.
But without that community clash, who knows if we would even have the global offensive that we know and love today.
And cut.
I don't know how anyone played Source, man. That shit is straight casual trash.
It could be worse.
How?
You could be a Condition 0 player.
2 hours to find a match? Great. Why don't you just play CSGO, like us normal people? Ugh, I'll take the 2-hour wait. Fucking degenerate.
Oh, I forgot to press record.
Massey literally does that every shoot.
Really?
Every single, I'm immune to it. I didn't even flinch.
Yeah, you didn't say anything.
I literally said nothing, because Massey literally does this every single shoot. Oh boys, I forgot, oh shit, lads. I forgot to press record. Like the first few times, he like really got people, and then literally now, it's just like, he'll be mid-sentence, and we're just like, fuck off.